You're listening to the Making a Multi-Million-Dollar Med Spa podcast, where we have real conversations about what it takes to run a successful business. Thank you for joining us as we showcase and share our day-to-day successes and, even more importantly, failures and mistakes, and host some of our peers, colleagues, and other experts in the field.
Hello out there in podcast land. This is Matt Toronto and another podcast episode of the Making of a Multi-Million-Dollar Med Spa. Thanks for joining us. I'm with a guy that I've known for quite a few years. We worked together years ago, Dr. Jim Ross out of Morgantown, West Virginia. And Dr. Ross has a great story that we're going to talk about in aesthetics and share some key stuff that I think you all will find interesting. A little background of Dr. Ross. He got his medical degree from Marshall University, right? And then did your residency there at Penn State, Nittany Lion, in radiology. And I think this is interesting, and I think a lot of what we would call a non-core physician, because a lot of people have in their mind, aesthetics, it should be a plastic or a derm, but the majority actually are not. So tell us kind of what got you into this, because it's quite a step from radiology, quite a different animal. So talk about how you became interested in the aesthetic world.
Well, yeah, and that was always one of my concerns too. Non-core. Everybody was talking about how you had to be a derm, you had to be a plastic surgeon, that sort of thing. It was an interesting story. So lived in a smallish town, and not a lot of choices around for that kind of work. And I really didn't know anything about it actually. And my wife said one time she used to live in Cleveland, and she got Botox one time and really liked it. And I thought, hey, there's a great Christmas gift, So I go online, find who's selling gift certificates and so forth, and we found a dermatologist that's local. Or I did. I went in and I bought her a gift certificate, and she went and got Botox, and she was like, "This is awful. It's like it's nothing's working. It's not right." And she was like, "They didn't treat me well. It was, just all the wrong stories, right?" Yep. So me, I'm like, "Well, I could do that better." So that's how I first got interested, and I didn't know what to do actually, because I didn't know anything about the business. And I was talking to a friend of mine, and I was like, I'd like to get into this, but I don't know. I'm not a plastic surgeon. I'm not a derm. And he was like, he didn't know that much, but he's like, oh, I hear everybody's doing it. So I just started getting into, where can I get trained? And I found the A4M in Florida. And I thought, the other thing is with radiology, I get CME money. So I thought I can use my CME money for whatever. I went and took CME courses in aesthetics, and kind of, went through the fellowship, got the little fellowship, and that's how I kind of got into everything. It was a pretty intensive study, and they do train you pretty well with that.
No, it's a good program. I know a lot of people have done that fellowship with the American. Is A4M, for those of you out there who don't know, is the American Academy of Anti-Aging Physicians. So
right, yeah, it's
or anti-aging medicine. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was pretty intensive training, but I still really didn't know how to do this. Once again, I'm a radiologist. I don't have a doctor's office. I don't have patients coming in and I could say, hey, I'm offering Botox now or whatever. So one of the people that was training there actually said to me, because I was asking, and there were several non-core physicians there. I'm like, how do you get into this? And she said, well, one of the things I've seen people do is they kind of team up with somebody who has like a day spa or something like that, and you start offering medical services. And that's how all this actually got started. I just came back, I started finding different people. Long story, but I went through 2 or 3 different people, talked to them, it just didn't feel right. And then I found my partner in crime right now, Casey, who had a little day spa. It was a little 2-room place. She had one room that was for her. She had one room that was storage. She rented that to me. And I just thought, I'll just do Botox and fillers on her clients for a little extra money. That was really my whole goal at the time. And being that there wasn't much going on in Morgantown, West Virginia, and we treated people well. We did all the, the things that we'll talk about. I'm sure that you told me what to do. It just ballooned. It really still amazes me to this day how far this has gone and how far it can go. I mean, it doesn't stop.
Yeah, no, it is amazing, and it's interesting because when I got in this industry 25 years ago in the mid '90s, I was an independent rep. I sold microdermabrator, skincare, lasers. And back then, the majority of what I met with were plastics and derms.
Right.
And now with our consulting, I would tell you that might make only 20, 25%. Because I think with what's happened in medicine, especially in primary care medicine, there's been a lot of people looking for other ways to either augment revenue or diversify, and aesthetics has been it. So you do see a lot of, family practice and internal medicine, ER docs, radio. I mean, there was a psychiatrist in Little Rock, Arkansas. They opened a med spa. She had two sisters that are both nurses, and actually they're doing great. They're wonderful. But I think the thing that you said, it's interesting, is it really isn't so dependent on your specialty. It's more dependent on the fact that you're willing to get trained
Yeah.
and you're willing to study and not just dabble. I think there's too many people out there. Oh, I took a 1-day course in injectables. I'm ready to go. And as you can probably attest, that's not enough.
Oh no, yeah, yeah. One of the things that I definitely, and I now have. Let's see, I've got a physician's assistant, two nurse practitioners, a nurse, two laser specialists now. And one of the things I make them do is they have to go train. They know what they're doing. They do wonderful jobs, but they train constantly. I'm very adamant on that. I mean, I feel it's like medicine in general. I mean, for me to keep my license, I have to do CME credits. I have to continue to train in my field, and this is no different. I mean, this stuff changes so fast, and if you're not training, you don't, you're behind already. But I got that training in the at A4M, and then I just, I loved it, so I just wanted to train. I trained with you. I trained with different people, finding things online. You know, and and the way it is now, I mean, there'd be no excuse not to train. There's just so much out there. Like your courses, men's courses are wonderful because you can do those online at any time. You can find all kinds of resources online if you can't go somewhere. And then
Well,
if you
even
go,
just YouTube. I mean, YouTube has so
yeah,
many videos out there, and yeah, it is a different world for training. And I always tell people the best money I ever spend is when I make my staff better. When I
yeah,
invest in their training, they get better because it's common sense. The better they are, the better results they get, the happier clients they have, and the more referrals you get. So I'm amazed how many clinics are really hesitant to invest money in training. And I always say, no, 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 that's the best money you can invest.
yeah,
Yeah. So tell me now, you've been doing this for quite a while because I think it was 2014. So you're at
14,
it for about 8 years now.
one on eight, yeah,
And obviously, just since you and I have talked years ago, you've grown a lot.
yeah.
Yeah. So what's your situation now as far as your physical space, your staffing? Because when you and I met, there was only like one other person. I mean, you've really exploded.
Yeah, well, yeah, like I was saying, when I first did it, it was just myself and Casey. She did like the facials and so forth, and I'd started on Botox and fillers. And I think my first big purchase was I didn't want to just do injectables. I kind of wanted lasers. I thought they were fun, so I
Mhm,
bought the Sciton, my first Sciton jewel with BBL. And that's how I met you because
mhm.
our common rep at the time, or at least the rep I knew, Mike Van Lin,
Yes.
he was great. He's like, go see Matt. And I started talking to you, and you
Mhm.
directed me what to do. And we outgrew that space, that little 2-room space. We
Yep.
moved into a place where I was renting. Casey we have like actually two separate businesses that we do under one roof, under one DBA. But she likes the real estate part, so she buys the buildings. I just rent off of her. I'm doing it. But we moved into a place where I had 3 rooms and she had 2 rooms, and we thought we were huge at that time.
Mhm.
And we just moved into this, so we kind of separated. All the medical is in one. It's about 2,500 square feet. We've got another little building out back that I do like office trainings and so forth in. And then she kept the original building, and so now she has 5 rooms for us, the more aesthetics, the less medical stuff. I got.
Right. Yeah, that's great, man. That's great. So tell me, in your current business right now, what's keeping you busy? What are you seeing as far as your day to day, the things that your clients are wanting the most of? What are you guys doing the most at this time?
Well, I mean, if I had to pinpoint one, Botox is still definitely
Yeah.
the main thing. Our injectables are really off the charts right now. We do a lot of Botox, a lot of fillers, um, but we're doing quite a number of BBL halos. That's if we're going to go to lasers, that's definitely kind of our next thing.
Hmm.
We purchased InSculpt last year, and it's doing really well. We're still cool sculpting still just kind of holding its own. For a while, cool sculpting kept me going in
Yeah.
the early days when it was myself. But it kind of fell off a little bit. But we still do quite a bit of cool sculpting. We're doing a lot of M sculpt, but I would say our biggest money maker is actually the Botox and fillers. I had 4 amazing injectors, and they just draw people in. So,
Right. No, and it's I talk to a lot of people who say, well, like in a city like Kansas City, there's probably 200 places you can go get for Botox, and we're not different because we do Botox. We're different. What you and I have talked a lot about in the past is the way we treat people.
yeah.
The customer service, the quality of care, the follow up, the relationship building. And so, what is your viewpoint? Because my viewpoint has always been on competition. I don't really care how many competitors. We just have to be better. How do you view? Because I'm sure now, compared to when you first started, there's more competition.
Yes. And yeah, and my attitude has changed about it too, because you would tell me that, and I would be like, "Yeah, but I don't want anybody else moving in." And I'd be, you're a little nervous about it.
Yeah,
Somebody could do it better or whatever. I actually welcome competition. I like competition coming in. Not only does it keep us kind of on our toes, but it also, I consider it's almost like free advertising,
yep, I
because
agree.
they're going to advertise services, and that's going to catch some people that haven't heard of us.
Yep,
But then what's that person going to do? They're going to jump online, Google it, and they're going to find us and see all of our reviews and all of our, we got a really nice website, and we're, all that. And it ends up people like, I heard about this, but I Googled you, came to you. So, it's almost like free
yeah.
advertising.
No, I agree. And so, tell me, one of the biggest things that we focus on here at Aesthetic Care is trying to create a work environment that the staff really loves. So, what are some of the things you do in your clinic to create that work environment? Because I believe our clients can sense that we have a bunch of people here who are professional but fun and great place to spend time. What do you do there?
Um, well, I would like to take all the credit for it, but I don't think it's me. I think a lot of it is hiring the right person to begin with.
Yes.
One of the things that you taught me was hire the things you can't teach. I
Mhm.
can teach, I can get people trained, and they can get good at Botox and fillers or lasers, etc. But if I don't hire somebody with a really great personality, outgoing, that sort of thing, I can't teach that. I can't get them there. So I, first of all, is hiring the right person. And I usually, when I'm hiring somebody, I usually do an interview, and I'll ask them a couple, what seems like benign questions, but I'll picture myself in the chair as a client. I'm getting ready to have this person stick needles in my face or heat me up with a laser. Do
Mhm.
I trust this person the way she's coming off, or he?
Yep.
And if I can get that sense of them, then yes, they're a good hire. And if not, then we'll keep looking, etc. But
Yeah.
I think first is the getting the right person in the first place. But then I mean, I'm not trying to brag or whatever, but I think I really pay my employees well, because and I treat my employees kind of the way I want them to treat the customers as well. I give them a lot of autonomy, a lot of room to grow. They're bright, intelligent people, and I know that, and I can trust them, and I know that they'll do the right thing, and they'll treat the patient right, etc. And so, and I compensate them well. I want them to do well. I want them to
Yeah.
do better and better every month. I have a tiered commission schedule, and
Mhm.
so the better they do, the more money they're going to make each time, etc. And also, I pay for like a lot, like I say, all the trainings. They get to go to fancy places, and all the places you can go to train, etc.
Yeah.
So sometimes we do little in-house competition things, like I think you've done,
Yep.
or a little, and that can and cannot be good. We've had mixed results with that, but they're all really good people. They all get along
Yeah.
pretty well. So
Well, and I think it's important, and I like, you and I talk kind of that hire the smile, train the skill thing. So you start with the right person, and then you do invest a lot in their success. And I've always believed, if my desire is to have the best staff in my geographic area, like you, I'm going to pay them the best, right?
oh yeah, yeah,
And I equate a lot to sports, but there's a reason that Patrick Mahomes gets paid more than any quarterback because he's so good, right? And
right.
so same thing. So tell me this: how does your clinic perform as far as retail product sales Is it a pretty decent part of your business? Do you look at it as hand in hand, or are you much more focused on treatments, and that's more of an oh by the way thing? Because I know a lot of clinics, they sell them, but they don't really focus on it. How do you feel about retail products in this industry?
Well, I don't believe that. I think you definitely have to be selling the retail products. Our situation's a little different. As I was saying, my kind of like my business partner, we actually own two different businesses,
Hmm.
and I kind of do the more medical, and she does more the aesthetic side. But part of that split ends up being that she does more of the retail
Okay,
products. Now we sell them for her, but I don't get a lot of the
I
money.
got you.
We do some medical only stuff, some elastin and things that we do
Hmm.
with our lasers. We also sell those, so we get a little bit out of that. But yeah, we're almost always recommending something, when they're going home, because you can't expect to get spend two, three, $4,000 on your face and then go home in the sun. Everything.
Yeah, no,
It,
that's
it
good.
is very
So
part.
tell me what seems, we all know the best referral ever or the best marketing is a referral. That's the easiest one. But we all market, right? And to get new people in, we all want to grow. What have you seen to be the most effective marketing techniques for you?
Social media. By
Really?
we have tried everything, and I remember talking to you about this, and you said I've tried everything, all this stuff, and told me what not to try. But we've tried TV, radio, billboards. Some billboards are okay if you can
Hmm.
find a cheap enough one, etc. But social media has been the game changer, and we actually, so I've got younger girls who love to get on social media and do things, etc. And we
Yep.
actually write it into their contract. They have to post at least three posts a week, and they usually do more than that, but they have to post at least three a week. And they do it on their individual accounts, but then it's tagged back to our Willow account.
Right.
And that just generates so much. And we actually have found that, and I actually have an in-house person as well that does social media for the Willow brand itself. And we've kind of found that it's a mix. I mean, you definitely want to show your work, show some before and after, show that you're doing, you can do a good job, etc. But the other thing I think that is interesting that gets a lot of interaction and brings people in is showing some of the personal sides of each of the individuals. I
Yep.
mean, like we had one girl who she gets coffee every morning at this one place and always pays with the same bill and everything else. So she does this whole post. She goes, "This is how predictable I am. I pull up to where I get my coffee before I go to work at Willow, and saying it, and they have my order ready. They have my change ready because they know how I'm going to pay, etc." And she posted that little thing, and she said, "Now I'm on my way to work, etc."
Hmm.
It got so much engagement. People thought that was great, and they see that these people that are coming into something new and they go, "Well, I've seen her work because I've seen her before and afters, and she seems like a real person. She's
Yeah.
not." So yeah,
Yeah, I think it's a great point. I was at a meeting in California, and a plastic surgeon was talking about how his Instagram, Facebook blew up when they started getting more personal, when they
yeah,
people started to get to know them. And there's a thing called the e-relationship where people literally start feeling they know you, even though they've never met you, just because they see what you're doing. There's a hot thing going on there called Reels, and I don't know much about them, but for Mint, we have an employee here who loves them, and she's been doing these Mint Reels, and some of them get thousands and thousands of views. I'm like, okay,
yeah,
they're kind of silly, but obviously they're working. So I agree. I think social media can be big. Do you all do you find that your website is a has been a good tool for you as far as getting new clients in the door?
yeah. It definitely is. I mean, usually what, like I say, people do is they might see these things, but before they're going to jump in, they're going to Google you and see, what everything looks like. And to me, your website is probably your next best salesman. It's almost like an employee, and
Yeah.
I paid pretty much an employee price for one, to tell you the truth. But I
Yeah.
want a good website because when somebody lands on that, they're going to want to see what does this look like. I mean, if it's a really crappy website that's hard to navigate and everything else, well, they already have a kind of an opinion of you. So I definitely think the website's a good place to spend money as well. So.
No, I totally agree. So, do you have any do you all put any focus on reviews?
Yes and no. I don't. I'm not that. what do I want to say? I'm not like really, we have to have good ones. We have to have a lot of them, etc. We try to get them a little bit. We have we actually just switched um, a campaign managing people from one to another, and they're a little bit more focused on getting reviews, and they're sending out, follow up emails to try to get reviews, etc. I think they're important because I do think a lot of people like to look at the reviews and so forth, but I don't like that's one thing, just kind of a personal pet peeve. I don't like hounding my clients for them. I don't, I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, please give us a review, etc. I
Yeah.
think, most of the time they will if they, if they like it, they end up reviewing it. So we've gotten a lot of good reviews.
Well, if you remind me, shoot me an email. There's a company we're working with called My Satisfied Patient that's amazing in a very professional way of getting Google reviews,
Oh
which
yeah.
can really help your SEO. Yeah, shoot me an email. I'll get you the information, but it's working really well for
Oh
us.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I found out about him. I was doing a consulting thing for outside of this industry, and I noticed this company had over 1,000 Google reviews. I'm like, my God, how do you do that? And they go, oh yeah, this company, it's very inexpensive. They're great. So yeah, I'll tell you about them. But so anything that you're excited about in the future? You got any technology you're looking at? Any business ideas you're thinking growth wise that you're looking at the next 3, 4, 5 years, saying, man, this is going to be great.
Well, I think, yeah, we're always looking for that. I think everything is going to be great. One of the things I say is that, the technology's so changing so much. I never know what's going to come
I
after
know.
next, etc. But yeah, we just, we've been psyched on people for a long time. I've had BBL, we've had Halo for a while, we've had Diva and a few of the other things. We just added Moxie. I was always kind of like, well, I can do, a light Halo and get the same results, but it is quite a different machine, I think.
Well,
So
and I will tell you, I was in your shit. I was like, why would I add it? I can do a light halo, but we got Moxie and it's fantastic. We're
yeah,
just killing it with Moxie. So yeah, I think you're going to really
yeah,
kill it with that one.
we just got it and it's already, we've sold, I don't know, 8 or 10 of them in probably
Yeah.
2 weeks. So yeah, it's definitely already taken off. What else? We're adding one of the things you told me to add a long time ago, but it was expensive, and I kept saying I don't know if I want to do it. But we're doing laser tattoo removal, so we'll start doing that one as well.
A lot of people have tattoos.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I'm adding, and which is a little bit of a departure from the typical aesthetics, I think, but I'm adding a hair transplant as well. I'm doing the artist robot with male hair transplants. I figured I could get more male clients in the door that way. I can also sell them Botox and fillers and etc., as well as do the hair. So we've
Well, I
got
will tell you, that done right is a very good business. I know some people who are just making a killing. And you know what I found out with hair transplantation is or hair rejuvenation is a good percentage of the people going are women, and
yeah, yeah, that's
it's for a man it's kind of socially acceptable to lose their hair, but for a woman it's not.
yeah,
And so there's a clinic I worked with down in Tampa who's very big in that, and they said 60% of their hair clients are women,
all right.
40% men. And so I always just assumed, oh, it's all these men going, but I think I was wrong on that one, because women, as they age and their part gets bigger and you can see their scalp, they don't like that.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I'll be interested to see how that goes for you. I think that's great, and I think it's always a good idea to diversify a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. That's one thing, I'm just like I like to try new things. I've, definitely gotten burned on a few things,
We all have.
as we all do, yeah. But I definitely one of the things that I kind of go against the grain a little bit, which has worked for me. And I don't know if I want to give this as a blanket advice for people, but I'm almost like I'm not afraid to spend money anymore.
Yeah.
It's I'm just going to, if it's something that I think is definitely going to work and I want to do it. That's the other thing. I want to put the time in, because you can't just buy a machine and then go, well, where are all the people? You got to put some work into it.
You got to work. You're exactly right.
But if there's something like that, I'm all for it, and I think that kind of keeps the business growing, keeps everything going forward, keeps the excitement going, etc.
Well, and I think it's nice because in a town like Morgantown and Kansas City, really, I mean, Kansas City is a pretty decent sized city, but there is a thought in the Midwest that, man, if I went to New York or LA, I bet you they'd have better stuff. And I'm sure that's the same in Morgantown, thinking, boy, I could drive to Pittsburgh or, somewhere like that. But we're going to let them know, no, that's not true.
Right.
Right here in Morgantown, right here in Kansas City, we are going to have the latest technology. We're going to be well trained on it. You don't have to travel for it.
Right.
And I think that in Midwestern communities, smaller communities, that's kind of a feeling. So it's nice. So you've been doing this for 7 years. Any long-term plans? You plan on This is something that you're looking at long term, or are you looking, hey,
Uh,
5 or 10 more years?
Well, like I say, we're adding all this stuff, so I'm definitely on the hook for another 5 years at least.
Yeah.
I'm getting a little older, so I'm probably going to slow down a bit. I actually don't do many treatments at the spa anymore because I've got these amazing people that do a lot better job than I ever did.
Hmm.
They won't. Everybody's like, no, no,
Yeah.
and I don't want to downplay myself, but I think they are better and they do it. But I love running the business. I love being involved in the business end of it. So I'm definitely in it for a little longer. My wife now runs the kind of the day-to-day thing, and as long as she's happy with doing that, we're probably keep going. So
Well, I think
I don't.
the key is that you enjoy it, right?
Yeah,
That you
yeah.
enjoy it. Now, are you still doing any radiology, or are you done with that?
Yeah, no, I actually right before COVID, I was starting to the business was starting to pick up, and I'm like, let me slow down from radiology. So I kind of went part-time radiology, and I was devoting more time to the spa. And then COVID came, and of course, we all got scared to death. I was shut down for 3 months, and I'm like living on my last few dollars in my business bank account. And I told the group I was with, I said, just put me back on full time. I'm not doing the spa thing anymore because I really did think we were about to lose it.
Hmm.
And then when it opened back up, it just exploded. I mean, we
Wasn't it
couldn't.
crazy?
It was insane. I mean, we had phones ringing constantly. Like, when can I get in? Because when we opened back up, we tried to follow the recommendations. We had part time, a lot longer appointment time, so we weren't getting people in. And they're like, I haven't had Botox for 3 months. You got to get me in. You got to get me in. So we just slowly kept increasing that, and I was increasing employees to cover things. So I kind of went back to full time radiology, and I was like, can't just open the door and say, well, never mind, it's back. So
Mhm.
I stayed with radiology, and I'm still doing it full time. But it's definitely at the point now. It is probably more than the point where I could probably leave it and live on the income off the spa.
Mhm.
But for the first several years, that wasn't true. I had to
Mhm.
keep doing radiology to keep things going.
Sure.
You had to keep, the expense of the spa going. But at this point, I could probably break off and just do the spa. But I don't know. I'm kind of enjoying both
Yeah.
ways right now. So
Well, I think a lot of people found, and like you, we were all scared. We were shut down for 10 weeks. And when we reopened, I had zero idea. I was thinking, again, we kept the entire staff fully employed, full pay and everything. But the month after we reopened was at that point, the busiest month in our 20-year history. It went not like you, it just shocked me.
yeah.
And then 6 of our busiest months in our 20 years have been in the last 8 months.
Oh yeah.
It really, I think there's something to what people said about the Zoom effect, people looking at themselves,
Yeah.
people not traveling as much, spending money there, concerts, that this was something they could still do. And we would never, obviously, nobody would wish something like COVID, but it
No.
really exploded the aesthetic industry.
Yeah. Yeah. No. Yeah. I'm being in radiology and being in the hospital. I saw the devastating effects, and I even
Yes.
had a friend of mine had a daughter die, and et cetera.
Mm.
And that's hard to balance when I'm looking at the other side of it and going, well, this has been great for me,
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
it was definitely great for this business. I mean, we were doing well before, but it pretty much doubled. We doubled what we were doing in a year. So I don't, and it just keeps growing.
Great. Hey, if you were going to give any advice to people new to the industry, they're thinking about getting into it. What would you say to somebody like yourself 7 or 8 years ago? I
um,
know you wish you knew 7 or 8 years ago what you know now.
oh yeah, yeah. I do think probably, like I say, proper training, and don't be afraid to spend money on training. Don't be afraid to spend a little bit of money, and that comes with a little caveat, because some people might not have it or might not have access to loans or whatever cheaper loans that
Mhm.
you can get through. I actually didn't have a lot of money that I was sitting on. I know people think, well, you're a radiologist, you could just, and radiology did sort of support the spa for a couple months here and there, but I just kind of felt it out slowly. But I just would say, don't be afraid to invest. Don't be afraid to invest your time, at least, and then
Mhm.
not. I know we talked about this. I think people, they expect it. They're going to open the spa, and they look at. I remember doing this. I looked at, well, Botox cost me this much, and I'm charging this much. I'm going to be making a ton of money, but it doesn't actually work that way.
There's
And
other expenses. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah, and I think that's where you just have to say, okay, if this is what I'm going to do, and I really like it, and I want to do it, then I'm going to find a way to do it, and I'm going to, if it's loans or whatever. Of course, you got to balance that. You can't go crazy and take out $3 million and try to make it work or whatever. But you can step up slowly. But don't be afraid to get in there and do it. It takes an investment. It takes investment of time. It takes an investment of money. And I think it's a lot about attitude. You will do well if you got a good attitude towards your clients, towards your employees, etc. Uh, and I think that goes a long way. If you're going into it for the money only and you're trying to make these things work, it's going to drive you crazy. But a lot of the things I picked and wanted to do, and one like the hair thing, and so that I'm trying to add, I looked at the money because I wanted to see how much things could make potentially. But I do it because of what people want. I have clients come to me and they'll be like, when I first started, I'm going Botox fillers. I have people come in, well, what about got all these brown spots, I got all this, I'd like to get rid of these wrinkles, and I'm like, really need a laser, something that's going to treat that. And so I would get things that I would feel like will help the client more than this is going to make me a lot of money. Some things you want to make sure it's not going to lose you money, but I would try to have that attitude that you're trying to do the best thing for your clients. And one of the things you said about people going to New York or LA, that was one of our little advertising things for a while. Is like I had just bought Halo, BBL Halo were like the hot things coming out. And I said, these are the treatments that you get only in big cities. You can get them right here in Morgantown, West Virginia. But part of the reason I did that is because I wanted to give that to my clients. I wanted to treat them well. I wanted to give them the best treatments.
Yeah, no, that's great. So, well, I think it's a great story. I mean, 7 years ago, you were a radiologist. 8 years ago, now you've got this full-blown med spa with multiple employees. Medical technology is going well. So, great job. I'm happy for you. And it sounds like you're going to be in it for a while. I tell everybody, I've been doing this had my clinic for 21 years, been in it for 25, and I still love what I do. It's just a fun industry.
It is, yeah. Yeah, you like I say, and I still want to give kudos to you and Mint. I don't think you even had Mint at the time, or you were just starting it.
We changed. It was Aesthetic Consulting Group, and then we changed the name when I married Kathy, and she's done such great work with the e-courses and stuff, kind of expanding it. So, no, it's been fun, and I have to give the credit to her because she's been a wizard with this stuff.
Yeah, but it was definitely helpful for me, and that would be another thing I would say for somebody to do is, like you've probably heard of people talk about. I think it's in some like Napoleon Hill's things, whatever. How to be successful quicker is to find somebody who's already done it and follow them and do what they did.
I agree 100%. I mean, I wish I would have known. I know 20 years ago, right? And so. Yeah, whenever I buy a new piece of technology, I always find the 2 or 3 best places in the country. I call them and figure out what they did, and they usually will help you, especially if you pay them enough to do it. So,
and like I say, it's the same for you. Like I just basically called you up and said, "Hey, I just bought this laser. I need to know what I'm doing here." You were more than helpful. Got me through a lot of things.
It was great. I went to Morgantown. You took me to a really good sushi restaurant. I still tell people, you wouldn't think in Morgantown they had great sushi, but it was fantastic.
Yeah.
But no. Well, listen, I'm happy for you, and thanks for taking the time to do this. I think it's great for people to hear different stories, and that's what Mint wants to do, is just expand the opinions and education to different people. And good luck moving forward. I'm sure we'll be in touch, but thank you so much for doing this.
Oh, thank you. I'm glad.
All right. That is Dr. Jim Ross, Willow Med Spa in Morgantown, West Virginia. And we will be doing quite a few of these podcasts, and hope you guys all enjoy them out there. And we hope to talk to you very soon.
All right.
Thank you for tuning in to the Making of a Multi-Million-Dollar Med Spa podcast. For helpful links and more information about any of Mint's training tools and resources mentioned in today's episode, be sure to visit mintaesthetics.com/podcast.